Why do some ministries and churches seem to have an active safety and security program every week, and other churches seem to really be struggling? Then there are people serving in some great ministries as ushers, security team members, or church leaders, but they really don't know what to do and how to protect their people. They wonder what their rights are, what can they do to remove someone forcefully, what if they have to remove a violent person? Use of force or how to be better prepared becomes a major question in the back of the minds of many ushers and leaders as to what they will do if things go wrong. And the current reality is there are not a lot of resources out there to help you answer some of those very serious questions about church security, forcefully handling difficult and dangerous situations, and dealing with difficult people. Today's violence is on the rise in many of our communities. An FBI study a few years ago showed us that active shooter incidents had almost tripled in yearly occurrences during their 14-year study. Hi, my name is Joe Puckett. I'm the creator and instructor of the Church Usher Safety and Security Training Program. I spent 21 years in law enforcement as a frontline member, a trained crisis and hostage negotiator, and first responder to emergencies. I also spent time as an administrator of those same activities. I learned a lot. I was blessed to receive lots of great training and was involved in lots of relative incidents within my service area. I have also spent time as a ministry security volunteer. I have helped to create security programs and audit them. I have a goal to share with you and others involved in protecting ministries, churches, people, and leaders. I want you to become leaders, and I want you to be more confident while serving your ministries in safety and security concepts. In this training series, I'm going to share those experiences as they relate to your safety, security, and survival in your ministries. I will also share from my recent studies of current trends and current church and community violence trends that are relative to your spaces. I do not want my experiences and information to go to waste. I would like to share it with you. I'd like to share it with your teams and your leaders. In this first video, you're going to discover some framework for creating confidence for you, your ushers, your security team members, and leaders. This material is going to immediately help you to improve many aspects of your safety and the safety of those around you. Once you begin to look at this material and get this stuff down, you will gain confidence for your security programs. So if you're an usher, but you're not sure what to do and how to get better prepared, or you are a leader and you are not sure what direction to give your people, then stay with me because you're going to discover some critical areas for us to discuss and some areas of safety and security I want to help you get a handle on right now. The goal of this series that I have prepared for you is to give you a direction in areas you may not have an answer for or are struggling with. I'm going to give you some items of opinion and share my experience to give your ushers and your security program confidence, a direction for your security program, and to give it some energy as it moves in that direction. Now, before we dig in, I want to warn you, I really want to help you and your team break some of these barriers, some of these concerns or these planning walls you may be coming up against. Most of the time, I know verbal skills can help a lot of these issues we face. Making decisions in our brain can help us during challenging times, but lack of action can get people hurt should an unlikely violent event occur. So first, let's talk about the balance of our program. That's what I want to do. And then I want to talk about the use of force during some of these difficult times. So let's look at this a slide here, this overall objectives, finding balance and respect. I really see this stuff as balance. We want to have a secure environment. We want to be ready to take care of business. But yet we've got families and we've got people who are completely foreign to this concept of being secure. So we don't want to cause an inconvenience to them. So I really see it as a balance, that safe and secure environment, but yet a welcoming and friendly environment as well. In that balance, we have to respect our leaders, and I see it consistently as I travel around and interact with different churches, I see the issues, the struggles sometimes that churches are having where simply people want something else other than the leaders want. Guns is one of those areas. People want to carry guns. Sometimes our leaders say no guns. And one basic security principle is that we respect that. We figure out other ways to deal with the situation, or we look to educate them in a respectful manner. But otherwise, we're respecting those things that they have to say. So as you look at this slide, we're talking about we want to train, we want awareness, we want experience. I really look at, we want a solid operation. When it's time to go, when there's some kind of a problem, we want to be ready to go. I've heard more stories than what I've seen, but issues where people don't react. So they're on the security team, or they're an usher that's supposed to conduct security type duties, but all of a sudden somebody becomes out of place, or somebody stands up and interrupts a service, or becomes loud in the foyer, and it's time to take care of the situation, and then people freeze. And so that's the kind of thing we need to work on, is we need to give our teams confidence. We need to talk about it, and oftentimes we're more in the mode of not sure what to say, or I don't have confidence in this area. So that's one of the things I want to help you with. That's my goal, is to give you more confidence that we can react. So we look at this balance. On the other side, it's low key. As we look at this, it's professional, it's blended. And what I'm looking at with that is, we wear our regular clothes. Sometimes there may be a need for security shirts or those kind of things, but we wear our regular clothes just like everyone else. We blend in. But when it's time to take care of business, we're ready to go. We blend in, but yet we know what our tasks are, we know what our duties are, and we're ready to take care of those things. We're confident, and so we can come out of that blend and just rise up and take care of the situation. So I see this balance as very important, and that's where a lot of my things that I want to encourage you on come from, is being ready to go. But I don't think we need to be, in most of our facilities, we need to be overly bold. It's about blending in, having a balance for our families. We're greeting people, we're friendly, but yet we're ready if something should occur in our ministries. So then I want to talk about, and this is one of the areas we don't see a lot of discussion on, is I want to talk about the use of force. Using force. Can I defend myself? Can I take care of things that are going on? And first of all, I want to say I'm not an attorney. And this gets into a sticky area where I want to make sure and reinforce that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a legal professional. I'm not any of those things. I have the law enforcement experience that I shared with you. I have experience working around security principles, dealing with difficult issues, and I have the experience of being around church security programs and ministries. So what I'm sharing with you is my opinions, my thoughts, based on those experiences and my studies. I study current trends, current issues, those kind of things. So I'm not giving you legal advice here at all. I want to make that very clear. But what I am giving you is an opinion based on my experiences. And there's not a lot of that out there. So what I would recommend, though, is you take my stuff and go consult with your insurance company or your attorney, those kinds, your legal folks. Take what I say to you and consult with them. So, but I want to give you my opinions and thoughts. And the big deal is I want you to have confidence and basically stay ahead of the situation, because if we don't, when it comes to force, then realistically we can get hurt, or others can get hurt. When we do our best, that's all I say to folks, is do your best. We are not typically trained police officers, those kinds of things. We are people simply wanting to serve and simply wanting to help protect our people. And so we have that mentality or that thought process, and that's awesome. And so I want to add to that now, and I want to fine tune a little bit based on my opinion. So we look at this first photo, we look at use of force model from FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Just use it as an example very quickly. These things can get very complicated in discussion. When we talk about use of force as a police officer or other enforcement professional, it can get very complicated, because over the years it's been screened and funneled through the court systems and all of those kind of things. So you see this model here has colors and directions and all of those kind of things. So, and lots of discussion items. So, but what I want to talk about is a simple thought process for you, just giving you some opinions, my thoughts. And really, it's what if I was in your situations. These are the kind of things I would think of. As I look at a use of force model, if I was working in church, or if I was a security or usher in church, or when I am in my church and things happen, this is the kind of simple use of force model that I look at. I look at, first of all, presence, just having a usher there, just that presence can be a bit of a deterrent. And then I see verbal commands, and if things escalate, which we're going to talk about in a moment here, we can look at putting soft hands on people. These kind of things I want to make sure and reinforce. This stuff right here already, this is going to take care of 99% of the issues that you're going to have. You're going to have people that are having mental health challenges, and so you're going to verbally engage them, or maybe even your presence deters them and they decide, hey, there's a guy standing there or a gal standing there, and they look kind of official, or they look like they're paying attention to things. I'm going to go a different direction. So those kind of things can happen. And then we might have to, once in a while with these folks, we might have to put a hand on their shoulder as I walk up to them and say, could you go this direction with me? And if they don't quite want to go, I might have to put a hand on the shoulder and just kind of gently try to encourage them, is all I'm doing with soft hands. This stuff right here is going to take care of a majority of the things that I've seen, that I read about, all of those kind of things that happen. We fear the worst stuff, but realistically, these are the kind of things that happen, and just encouragement can really help that. And I'm showing you a video off and on of people coming up out of their seats, security, usher folks coming up out of their seats for a person that's interrupting the service. And it's, they're ready to go. I like that. They know their job. They're ready to go. Person stands up. They've had communication with the leader of when they can do this. They're very confident. They stand up. They approach the person. One or two of them is, I'm assuming, we can't hear it, is saying, could you go to this exit door with me? Could you go over here with me? And then we see they kind of put their hand on her, this person, and encourage them to go in that direction. It's a guidance. There are also multiple people there, so it's kind of a deterrent itself, or a guide force, if you will, to encourage her that direction. I also want to make a note. You note that they're dealing with a female, and they instantly have a female on that team that goes with them as well. So that's all planned out. They talk about that. They have females identified, and she comes up as a usher, security person, and joins the team, especially, anytime. That's great to have the help, but also especially in this circumstance, because we're dealing with a female. So it's best to have a female involved, or somebody that I can call. So we note that in that video that we're seeing. Then we get into non-lethal weapons. So some of you may have some sort of mace or spray. It's those kind of things that we're talking about. So, and then we get into hard hands, where we're actually now pushing or grabbing or shoving people down. And then we get to that deadly force concept. So I want to dig into it just a little bit more, though, to make sure we're on the same page. At that presence concept, you're somehow identified, even if it's just your presence of standing there. I've been unintentionally standing in a room, and somebody comes up and says, "Are you the bodyguard?" And I wasn't. I was just there enjoying myself at the gathering. But I end up standing because of my training, all those kind of things. I stand against the wall. I'm a little bit larger than average, so I'm just perceived as that. It's the same thing for you. When you're doing your official work as an usher, security, you're perceived as some sort of presence or some sort of official in the ministry. So that presence just itself can be identifying and be a deterrent to folks. Now we give verbal commands. And as I see it, the verbal commands are a bit of persuasion. Hey, I'm thinking of a service interruption, or somebody that's in your lobby area that you want to escort out. You can walk up to them, hopefully with another person or two or three people, depending on the more louder they are, those kinds of things. I walk up to them and I simply say, could you go with me to this door right over here? Could you go with me to the exit? Could you go with me to this area over here. As simple as that. And again, this is going to take care of a lot of your issues. Simple persuasion, discussion. And then next, I can put some soft hands on someone, kind of a escort. I may just put my hand on their shoulder and just kind of, slightly nudge them along as I say, can you go this way with me? I say, can you go this way with me? Can you go to this door? They don't go. And now I add that little persuasion on the shoulder. It's nothing rough. It's just a little soft hand. And I say again, could you go with me to that door? By the way, difficult people, you often have to tell them things 4 to 5 times. That's just what studies tell us. So we tell them, could you go to that door with me? We might have to say it 2 or 3 more times, and we put a hand on the shoulder. We might hold on to their arm as well. We don't have to grab it, though. We just encourage them at this point. We're just kind of encouraging them to go, if you will. So kind of an escort position, a directional contact, we might call it, if you will. That's soft hands. Now we get into non-lethal stuff. Again, that could be a spray. Many of you don't have that, so I'm not talking about it too much. And then we get into hard hands or impact weapons. And again, many of you don't carry batons or anything because you're not trained in them, that kind of stuff. And I definitely wouldn't recommend bringing that onto yourself, but those added responsibilities. So we're not used to that kind of stuff. So we got hard hands. Those hard hands can be used to create a blow to someone if they're not complying, and that would mean if, maybe they're hitting someone else, as I envision it. They're grabbing someone else, they're trying to take them out of the auditorium, or they're trying to forcefully steal something and they're trying to hit others, those kind of things. And now you might actually have focused blows or something where you're hitting them. You might grab their neck, grab a arm around their back, their neck from the back. We might grab them like that. We might use the hair to pull them down, or we might use joints. We might actually grab the arm and twist the fingers a little bit, something like that. Those I see as hard hands, and we're going to talk about what might justify that kind of stuff. And then we have the deadly force, where we're talking about their actions are capable of causing death, so we are using force capable of causing death. And usually that's to talk about defending ourselves or defending others, protecting them. That's not, as I see it, my opinion. It's in the court systems right now, but my opinion is that, recently we saw someone that read about it in a church that they got into a little bit of a verbal argument. And the person was a little bit threatening, and the other guy pulls out his gun and shoots him. That to me is too far escalation. If you look at this diagram, we're talking about somebody that's just verbally arguing with you. Maybe they bring the hands up in a threatening manner, but they're all the way down in the areas of verbal commands and soft hands and maybe some non-lethal stuff. And you could maybe make the argument they even get into the hard hands area where I need to push you back because I feel like you're getting ready to punch me or something like that. That's my opinion on that stuff. We're not in the deadly force area because they're not pulling out their own gun or their own knife or using a stick in a manner that might kill someone. They're simply in that verbal arguing and maybe beginning to think about other things. So that's the kind of stuff we look at. We're basically, in a way, I see it as we're kind of staying equal to or maybe even a little bit ahead of someone. So we want to prevent problems, prevent issues. But again, I want to reinforce how 99% of what I read about is really just deterred by you being there, you being prepared, your team being prepared, and your verbal commands to people, your discussions, and I say verbal commands, but it's also just striking up a conversation with someone and being nice to them that can maybe deter them because you're a friendly person. Those are the kind of things we're really going to use and we really need for our programs. This other stuff is, even though violence is on the rise, statistically, it's still not likely to happen to you or your security team or your ministry. But we want to be prepared for it if it does. So that's why we're talking about these kind of things. Then I look at here what we talk about. It's when we're talking about the person now you see on the side of your screen here, we look at their conduct. So, in the early areas, they're deterred. They're complying because they see you there. you're talking with them, you give them verbal commands, those kind of things. Somewhere in there, they may rise up to an undecided threat that I call them, where they're not sure if they're going to do something bad, or they're going to comply, or they're going to resist and they don't want to leave. There's those kind of decisions. So that's where we add a little encouragement. We say, could you go with me to the door? Please go with me to that door right there. You choose the nearest exit because they're disrupting. You want to get them to leave. So you say, could you go to that door right there for me, the close one? And now they're kind of undecided. They're thinking about it, but they're not sure. And now I put my hand on their shoulder. I add soft hands to that. Put my hand on their shoulder and encourage them and ask them again, please go with me to that door right there. Let's go to that door right there. And if I have a couple more ushers or leaders or security team members with me, it's an encouragement, as we saw in that video clip. Then maybe they get a little bit more resistive. Now they push me when I try to encourage them. They push me back or they strike at me. Now I have to go into that mode. They're resistive. And do I have the right to ask them to leave? You know, we talk about that. As far as I know from my experience, you have the right to ask them to leave. So you have the right all the way across our nation to have a peaceful get-together and the right to get together, and suddenly somebody is disrupting that. They're interfering with that process. So we do have the right to ask them to leave. Typically, and I would certainly encourage you to research this a little bit, but from what I know, most across our nation, this place where you're meeting is your place, even if it's temporary, even if you're renting it, those kind of things, or you own it. It's your place. So you have the right to ask people to leave when they're disruptive and causing disturbances in front of our families, those kind of things. So can I even, when they resist, can I put hard hands on them? Can I push them? Can I drag them? Can I take their hair and push them down if they're trying to punch me or trying to punch someone else? Certainly, as I see it, my opinion is if they're striking out at you, you have the right to defend yourself and stop that process, whether it's striking back or changing the circumstances where maybe 2 or 3 of you forcefully take them out, maybe by grabbing their clothing, those kinds of things as well. So we see them resistive, we can put those hard hands on them. And then we get to that area where they're more resistive, and now they pull out a weapon, whether it's a knife or a gun, as I see it. Some circumstances it might be something else, but gosh, that's going to be rare that we might see something like that. Knife or gun comes out, now I have the right to defend or protect other people. Defend for myself, protect others. As far as I see, I mean, that's my opinion on this stuff. Again, I'm not a legal person, I'm not an attorney, but from all my experience and everything that I read, those are my directions. That's what I would do. That's how I would conduct myself when we talk about these kind of items. So it's about balance, as I see it, and then it's also about being prepared or being ready to go, if you will, if you look at these kinds of items here. So as we finish up this video, you know, my desire realistically is that you begin to gain confidence. As you participate as a leader of your ministry, and I see all of you, if you're an usher, you're in leadership in your ministry, I want you to be confident, especially in the security program. I want to share exactly, as we talk about this stuff, what I know, what my thoughts are, my experience, because there's not a lot of those resources out there for you. I want you to overcome the lack of direction or limited knowledge or what to do. And now that we've discussed our program balance and dealing with difficulties, focused mainly on the use of force, I want to share more with you in the next video. I've got video number 2 that you can look at. I want to talk to you in that video segment about dealing with mentally ill people in our ministries, including some discussions of transients and maybe the new term called urban campers. And I also want to talk to you about some statistics coming up. Those will be coming up in some future material. I want to give you more items for discussion, items for training, things that you might encounter as you work in the security concept or program or lead it. I want you to be ready, be confident to handle these things, because I know it can be stressful when we're not sure what to do. And realistically, it could lead to someone getting hurt if we delay because we're not sure what to do. I've been in that position several times in my career, various parts of my career, where I was not confident in what to do next, or I had lost the energy and direction that I needed to carry out these processes. I've been blessed to gain knowledge, gain confidence and direction, and I want to share that more with you. And I want to help you be one more step closer to your desired results, to your desired confidence and your solid direction. Please share this site, this video stuff with others on your Usher security or leadership team. I want to get all of you on the same page. So forward them the link, give them the information, and I can't wait to share more in the next video, video number 2. I'll see you over there in the next video.